Five, four, three.
Good evening, and welcome to the Reel McCoy. I'm your host, Meffistoe, and with me, my hetero life mate, Oh My Feelings. How are you, good sir? Don't think I've added you to the scene.
That would help.
There you are. Still learning habits with the old EV Mux. Anyway, with me, Oh My Feelings. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I'm excited to talk to you about it. What is the Reel McCoy, you might ask? The Reel McCoy is your weekly movie podcast where we ask you to go and watch a movie, and you watch it, and you come back to us, and we break it down, and we just geek out on it, nerd out on it, just enjoy the old movie making. February is nigh. It is the start of February, and we've got Monty Python month. Whether you've seen it or haven't seen it, you've probably heard about this troupe of 6 individuals who literally carved their own path. Now, this is, we talked about this on My Feelings. We would definitely, if you haven't picked up any of those movies, definitely pick up those movies and watch, and then come and watch us break it down, because
yeah, definitely
a lot of fun. We're not going to break down every single joke, because that's impossible.
We're going to break down some of them, but they're like 582 jokes in the runtime of an hour and 30 minutes. It's impossible.
But we'll go movie by movie, and we'll start with what we've got for you for the main course is Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Do you remember the first time you've seen this movie, and like ever?
So the first time I saw this movie, I was hanging out with several of my friends. I was 11 years old.
Okay, cool. I think I was around 10, 11, or 12. I don't remember. And I think it came on like cable. I don't remember when I watched it. I probably watched it when I was way earlier, but didn't get what I saw. And then when I actually do remember, I think it was maybe 12. It came on, and from the first get-go, it was like, what the hell is this movie? What is going on? I love this. Please more. So to get into the guts of everything, including a little bit of tips and tricks about the troupe itself, we have a segment for it. It's called Behind the Screens.
Sound production, take 2.
Behind the Screens is where we go to all my feelings, get the lowdown on everything that is behind the scenes, production stuff. Take it away, my good man.
Okay, to start off, this was by far one of the most contentious of the films that the entire troupe made together. Because in retrospect, they all hate it.
Really?
Yes. The reason why is because of the shooting.
Okay.
I'll get to that in a second. First and foremost, the original draft was actually supposed to be a complete and total time split between the modern era and the medieval period. But as further drafts came along, more of the modern era stuff got pushed to the side to focus on the medieval storyline.
Okay.
Now, what's interesting about this whole bit is the backing of the film, because they did not get any kind of real good backing until they went to some very interesting individuals.
Go on.
Most notably, the members of Led Zeppelin,
Yes.
Pink Floyd, and several different record labels.
Correct.
Yes.
Because the people who were supposed to back this movie was the BBC, because
Correct.
it came from the BBC.
Yeah. And you know the reason why they disagree with that, because it was like, well, it's anachronistically incorrect. So it doesn't actually fit the correct historical model of King Arthur. It's like, yes, it's supposed to be parody.
Yes.
Which is so funny because the actual version that really came over to the States originally was shown on the cable broadcasting
Okay.
network. So it was a CBS here. But
Okay.
they had edited so much out that the original producers and the guys from Monty Python told the United States that, like, you cannot put this on CBS anymore. So they gave the rights to PBS, which is technically our BBC.
Yes.
And they showed the more unedited version than CBS did. So funny.
Oh, by the way, I didn't ask you. Have you ever managed to catch a re-release in theater? Have you seen it on a big screen, theater wise?
Yes, I have, and I've also seen Spam-A-Lot.
Oh, okay.
I actually went and saw Spam-A-Lot. You know.
Well, I was at one point supposed to go see Spam-A-Lot like this April, but for $200 a ticket, I'm not so sure. So I'm going to go see Yankees instead.
Yeah. So one of the main reasons why Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, and the record companies were also really interested in backing it was because at the time, it was actually a tax write-off for them. For funds. Yeah. Yeah. It was a tax write-off. So some of the major actors, obviously, Graham Chapman, who plays King Arthur, he suffered from severe acrophobia.
Okay.
He was terrified of really wide open spaces. And during the entire production, he was also suffering from the withdrawals from severe alcoholism.
No. He was full-blown alcoholic at that point.
Well, he was actually trying to get. Well, he was
trying to kick it.
He was sober during the production, so he had severe DTs.
Yes, but let's just say this: by the time Life of Brian came along, which was about 4 years later, he was completely sober. But he had a lot of issues with alcoholism at the point where when they were on the production itself, not on the shoot itself, while they were writing, it was like we could write with Graham from about 10 a.m. till about 12 so lunchtime. After that, he wouldn't remember anything. He wrote garbage, and it was unruly. He was completely unruly.
And the sad thing is like, wasn't it only 6 years after he got sober he died, right? Because he died in 89, I think.
He died 88.
88.
No. He got sober before 79. So he had around 10 years of sobriety.
Yeah. That's still it's a sad story. Yeah.
What killed him was not alcoholism, and to be honest, I would kind of expected HIV to kill him, but it was throat cancer because he was a pipe smoker, a heavy pipe smoker.
This is other really interesting bits. The originally, given the entire script, Terry Gilliam, who obviously directed the film, and I did all of the illustrations and animation work. That's all his. There were supposed to be an entire animated opening to the film.
He on the budget, he was promised 4 people under him to work as an animation crew.
Yeah. But
it did not happen.
It couldn't work, so they had to go with the full black and white. And it was Michael Palin, plays Sir Galahad.
Yeah.
He came up with the idea of having the faux Swedish bit in the text, the subtext.
Okay.
During the credits, the joke about the Swedish bit of tourism and the moose bit and eventually the llamas. That was all his idea. Because I want to keep the audience entertained, because this is not any of our other productions. Like they're expecting something, so we have to keep the audience entertained and have these jokes.
Yeah.
The sacking bit we'll get to in other films because it gets repeated a lot.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, what's interesting too is, given the constraints on the budget, they were going to actually have a bit of the troop of horses, but they couldn't do that. So they actually had one of the Foley guys clack the coconuts together. Foley artists.
Yeah.
They're the people who do the sound effects. Like, that'll work.
Yep. It so happens to be that Terry Jones doesn't really like horses either.
Yeah.
And he was kind of happy. And you said that Terry Gilliam directed this. It was a joint venture between Terry Jones and Terry Gilliam.
That's true. Yeah.
Which I don't know if you have that in your notes, but I can elaborate when you're done.
Yeah. See, only Chapman actually wore real chain mail.
Yes.
There's a 25-pound actual suit of chain mail. All the rest of the stuff was just wool that was painted to look.
Yes, and reportedly was supremely itchy, uncomfortable to do, and at the end of the day, they were just wanting to just chuck it in the bin.
Well, one of the major things about the end of the day too was the fact that they were shooting in Scotland. It was rainy constantly because Scotland. They're cold and wet, and throughout the days of shooting, they would almost have to fight and run toward the hotel that they were all staying at to get enough hot water for baths first.
Yes, because the hot water only accommodated about 15% of the people who are actually staying there. So yeah.
So
there's a funny story with that. At some point, Eric Idle and John Cleese were so fed up with running back that they just went to a different hotel, and they had no issues. But that's halfway through the production, and they paid for it from their own pocket.
Okay, yeah. During one of the original screenings, Gilliam had noticed that the audience reaction to the punchlines were actually getting kind of suppressed. So they actually could, because the music would actually play over the punchlines originally, but he heard that the audience was actually kind of upset a little bit because they couldn't actually hear some of the really good jokes that were in there. So he went back and re-edited the entire score to accentuate the punchlines on the jokes. That's why this movie is so memorable for its actual really good punchlines, because they are so crisp and clear.
It's not only that, there's I don't know if you've got it in your notes about the sound, the original sound.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's later, but one of the original screenings at Cannes, the credits stopped rolling at the very beginning, and everyone started laughing because they thought it was a joke.
Okay. Okay. But it used that it used to be that you had like a lot of credits at the start of the movie. We went through it when we talked about like Psycho and Vertigo, that most of the credit was
that was the old format, and that's what they wanted to go with this film. Yeah, specifically that's why there's basically no ending credits.
Ends.
Yeah. So Arthur's army is actually just comprised of students from a local university
and young children.
Yeah.
It really depends, because they shot the same scene like twice. Basically, when you see them from the back, it's with added children. When you see it from the front, it's the original thing that they've hired extras and all that stuff. But when you see it from the back and some of the shots from the sides, you have children there with pikes.
Yeah,
it's funny.
So the way that the film was actually shot, the first shot of the film was actually Arthur, quote unquote Arthur, Graham Chapman crossing the bridge, because they had to keep redoing it because he got DT so bad.
Yeah. It's not just that. It was he's got a fear of heights.
Heights and
he looked at the bridge and it was, I don't think I'm going to cross this.
So. Yeah.
And
because if you notice, there's an immediate cut there where you can clearly tell that that's not Graham Chapman.
You know who's in the suit?
No, I forgot who. It's supposed to be
the guy who built the bridge.
Oh yeah, well yeah, that makes sense. Hey, we're gonna talk about random people that they brought in later, especially like a one-legged silversmith during the Black Knight scene. That's gonna come up later.
Okay,
talk about that, because that's how they did that shot. But the last shot was actually a reshoot. It was of Lancelot running toward the swamp castle.
Okay.
Because before, it literally had him in the bog getting the note, and then he just popped up and just started killing the guards.
Oh, okay.
So there was no big like run up scene at all originally.
Yeah. Which when I saw it for like the first few times, I was like super annoyed, and I thought, okay, that's a joke that he's running like in place because he's not getting anywhere. You don't see him get close to the camera. He was just, it's the same shot superimposed like 3 times of him running, coming up, and that's about it. Yeah.
The interesting is Terry Gilliam was actually supposed to be another knight. He was supposed to be Sir Gawain.
Yeah. Okay.
And his whole shtick was he was the one who was the truth teller. So he would literally, like, his whole bit was he was going to break the fourth wall and just tell people how the shot was being made while it was being done.
No, Paul, he doesn't mean the mysterious old man from Scene 24. That's Terry Gilliam. Yeah. He means there was supposed to be another knight called Sir Gawain.
Yeah.
Because, okay, go on, because I've got a few stuff that I want to get off my chest.
Yeah. Several major scenes from the script were just shot, but then cut completely.
Yes.
Everything with King Bran of the Wild.
Okay.
Everything with the boatman.
Okay.
Because you know about the boatman, right?
Yeah, it was supposed to be like a Cowron character that takes Bedivere and
Arthur
Arthur
to
through
Castle
like
Arg. Yeah.
yeah.
But the major thing though is, you know how they had the bridge creators, if be to answer me these questions 3.
Yeah.
His was supposed to be answer 28 questions
Why?
because it was supposed to be a superfluous joke.
Yeah,
You know,
okay. I adore that scene, so
and there was actually supposed to be originally a bit that cut back. There was supposed to be a tie back to one of the original drafts where all the knights end up finding the Grail at a Harrods.
oh, okay. I good it's good that it's cut then.
Yeah.
Anything else or I'll start spewing
Everything
my
else is interspersed. I've got a lot of notes for.
okay. So my notes, but like I don't have any notes because it's literally embedded in my head. So a few things. So just to get things started, just before everything, like when I said about Graham Chapman being like it's like super alcoholic, there's a moment there where what they did was they wanted to come up with a story. Everyone was racking their brain. Everyone around them was telling them to go do a movie, and they didn't know what to do. When they settled for the Arthur thing, they all just stopped what they were doing and just went on a research. Which, when I heard that little piece of information, I was like, why is it not done today? It boggles my mind. So what they did, because they came from like these established universities from Oxbridge, so Cambridge and Oxford, it was sort of half and half. What they did was they went and did the research for the Arthur legends. So all the knights you see, everything that is basically the through line of the story is basically the Arthur legends as they're told. Of course, they changed it for
Well, that's
comedic effect.
they hyperinflate, especially dates. We're gonna get to that, but
Yeah. Generally speaking, they put it around the time of the Arthur thing, but not really. So 932 is a little bit earlier than the Arthur legends, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's
well, because they actually had 3 dates in mind,
okay.
but they picked
The date is not
932
important.
because it was
No, I mean the actual production is important. At some point, what they did was, okay, we need to like hammer this thing out. So I think it's Eric Idle that suggested it, that they all go to the Bahamas. They rented a villa for about 6 weeks, and they just went out there with no extras. Like there's no BBC, there's no producers, there's no nothing. It's just us, including everyone, including Terry Gilliam, and they just sat in and hammered in the script, and it was basically 95% set around that time, and it was Terry Jones and Michael Palin and Eric Idle that kind of worked together, and Graham Chapman and John Cleese that worked together. So it's Oxford and Cambridge kind of separated. That's how they kind of did it. And
okay.
Terry Gilliam was there. That's how did they reach that script. And then on, of course, after they what amazes them about the fact that Led Zeppelin and all these like music people were interested is the fact that it was their idols as they came up in university. It's like we want to be them,
Yeah.
but they want to be us. So that whole thing was sort of a
Yes, it was during it was after Dark Side of the Moon. It was during it was after Dark Side of the next Pink Floyd album. They would watch Flying Circus.
yes,
They were huge fans of them.
yeah. Do the llamas
The Hamas.
kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go. We'll skip over initial credits. I know it's some people's favorite, but I don't care. We have a bit.
The moose handler, moose.
We'll start with this. Let's do this. All right, cool. Let me just do this full screen. Okay. An African swallow or European swallow? What's the answer? Go ahead. Okay. How much does a swallow weigh? 1.5 grams? Yeah. Yes, a ghost guest. Here we go. He's off. He's not here. Anyway, a not an African swallow nor a European swallow can carry a coconut. Not even a hollow one that they used to do the fake horse sounds. But that's the whole point. It is un- yes, I do. Exactly. And I was like, perfect. Just perfect. And the thing about this is it's not only that, it's the castle itself. Do you know how many castles they've actually used in this movie? It's one. It is actually just the one. And no, no, no. They used one for exterior shots and some of the interior shots. Uh, so the castle you see here, the castle with the French, the castle, the swamp castle, the exactly the yes, the Zoot Castle, all of those castles are the same castle from like the castle we see in the next scene where he's talking about the dentist from the collective, same castle, just from afar. And you use just a few mock castles that Terry Gilliam actually drew, or not drew, but he took like scrap from places. But generally speaking, it's just that one. Oh, you can't hear him anymore? Ooh, interesting, interesting. Okay,
Is that why?
maybe because you went out and in, so nobody heard you all through the all through
That
that
whole bit
conversation.
doesn't matter. It's fine.
Ah, we're just getting used to this new system.
He is.
Yes, I am because I'm the mega producer. Uh, okay. Never
Anyway,
mind.
everything about the castle. Anyway, um,
Anyway, it was just that one castle, and they just shot it from different angles, different places. It kind of looks like it's a different castle. Like this one is different from the French castle
it's
because,
not. It's just shot from a different exterior shot.
and
That's
the
all.
only one that it's kind of different. They didn't shoot at the castle. Is the castle on the lake was shot from afar. They had permission. And when you see them close, like when they're standing outside of the castle, it's a replica. It's not, it's not there in the lake.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Kind of looks like it, but it's not.
It's superimposed. One of the other good shots too is the first shot of the castle on the swamp scene. That the reason why he got that good fake kind of after effect on it was they took the picture of it and they put a candle underneath it and superimposed it while the smoke went in front of it to give it that look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the smoke? Or do you not have it on your notes?
I do, but I kind of didn't want to go into that because it's just kind of sad.
It's not sad. What are you talking about sad?
It's just what the guys went through to get some of these
Oh,
shots.
I don't care
It's
about what they
really
did to get the smoke. Anyway, let's just put this like this. So this entire movie had two directors, Terry Jones and Terry Gilliam. And what was frustrating for everybody else, you fucking stop. I hate this fucking... These fucking Twitter groups are fucking annoying.
Why do you think I don't mess with that shit? Come on.
Because you're smart and I aren't.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It rhymes because it's true.
So what happens is both the cast and the crew were very, very frustrated because Terry Gilliam wanted to be more artsy because it's Terry Gilliam.
Yes.
And Terry Jones was like, by the book, these are the scenes. We're going to go there. We're going to go here. We're going to do this. We're going to do this scene. If we can't do this scene, we'll do the different scene with another guy and we'll just get stuff done. And it was always frustrating because Terry Gilliam wanted smoke everywhere because he wanted it to be authentic, that you can't see some of the stuff. And it just caused a lot of problems. Whether or not to make the smoke was an issue. I can't believe it.
Just turn your phone off.
I turned it off. There. Holy shit.
From the smoke, we'll go on there. Well, we have that first conversation, and obviously there's we have then of course the bring out your dead.
Yes.
We also have I like to call this the entire segment is retribution for what should have happened to Jonesy.
Oh, stop.
Yes, the cat abuse.
To me, I mentioned it was most important to mention, for me at least, the whole point of them doing research is what happens when Arthur kind of like moves past this whole procession. Because remember, they put it at 932 because they wanted it to be close to the plague. So the Black Plague that ransacked through Europe.
Well, it actually would have been better if they would have gone with 1232 because that was supposed to be that would be more historically accurate. But that's neither here nor there. We're not gonna.
Yeah, but it doesn't really matter because they don't say the Black Plague. They just go through the street.
They don't even mention the plague. They just realize that life as a peasant during this period.
It's horrible.
The Dark Ages. Oh, it was shit. That's the reason why he even says this. He goes, well, he must be royalty. Why? He's the only one of us not covered in shit.
Exactly. And that's where the research came into play with a fucking joke. It's just to make a fucking joke, and it's glorious.
That and also the setup and payoff of constantly going, well, I'm not dead yet.
Yeah.
I'm getting better.
That's just a great setup and there are running jokes throughout this movie, and it's just so good because it comes out of nowhere and it's like, oh, this guy's dead. Let's see if he's really dead.
Yeah.
Now, a paper cut would have killed you in the Middle Ages if it got infected, but it makes you laugh. You have to laugh.
Yeah.
Right. Before we continue, we'll do our quick lightning round version of our first game of the night. It is called Missing Marquee. Missing Marquee is where we take 10 posters of movies, have their text written off. We display them, and Oh My Feelings will have to guess.
Hey, we're supposed to have a guess in this, so it's hey.
Usually there's a
guess. I'm back from a couple week break here. I need
you need a refresher on all these things. So, here we go. And
Dark City?
Dark City, because you saw the fucking headline.
Great one. Oh, is it Equilibrium?
Equilibrium is correct.
Oh, fuck you. It's a James Bond movie.
One of the earlier ones.
It's Octopussy. I don't know.
It's not
Man with the golden gun.
octopus. No. Has gold in it.
Goldfinger.
Goldfinger.
Last Action Hero.
Last Action Hero.
Galaxy Quest.
No. Wait.
No, sorry,
That's
that was Lost. That's Lost in Space.
Lost in Space. My brain was like, okay.
Rain Man.
Rain Man is correct.
Seven Samurai.
Seven Samurai.
Swamp Thing.
Swamp Thing.
Silence of the Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs.
V for Vendetta.
V for Vendetta. And that was our last one. Yeah, you've got it. You've got it.
Fucking throw in a goddamn Bond movie, you cheeky
I was like,
bastard.
I saw a Bond movie, and I was like, what if Jesse doesn't show up? And I was like, okay. He's gonna fucking hate me.
You know, Jay, the entire time I was thinking of the actual better film, which is the Austin Powers Goldmember. So,
Do you know who we've got in the chat? We've got a proper Scottish man in the chat. And no, it's not Jay Harang. It is our good friend Scotty Jones. Do you know who he is, right?
Yeah.
Hagar.
Yeah, I know.
We love you, Hagar.
Oh no, we love you, buddy.
We love you,
It's
buddy.
been forever.
Yeah. All right. Let's get back to this because I love it. This is, to me, the scene that just too good. It's just too good. It is this. It is every single person I hate all wrapped up.
Oh, this is like it's so good. It's so I'm a man, and I'm not old. My name is Dennis.
Yes.
If you cared to ask.
I'm your king. I'm your king. It's like we don't have a king. We're an autonomous collective. It's like, oh, you motherfucker! I hate you already. I hate you already. These pretentious bitches.
So some bint lying in a pool giving out swords.
Does not give you a mandate to rule the masses. Supreme authority comes from the proletariat.
Now we see violence inherent in the system. Help, help, I'm being repressed.
Oh, and
you see how he was repressing me?
It never gets old, this whole process, because these people are still alive today. Now, when they wrote this thing, it was not prevalent, but there were people exactly like this, like hippies living in a commune and shit. And that was their day to day, but it led to like cults like Jonestown and stuff. So I don't know. I don't know. It always makes me laugh because it really doesn't really belong in like 900 AD. Like really, those ideas are.
Oh no, that's very, very far removed from even the concept of a republic that Rome had. And
yeah, it's like it's sort of like, I don't know, it's industrial revolution, postmodern ideas, really, if you think about it. And it's the only
thing that I could say, if this was based in 1232, it made a little bit more sense, because it would be like, oh, this would be leading to the signing of the Magna Carta. You know, that.
Yeah, but the Magna Carta was 13 AD.
Yeah. So this is like,
so
yeah, we're hundreds of years before this.
It's so far removed. Then it's not supposed to be there, but it makes it makes the joke about them trying to joke about how did Arthur actually get the sort of like how did he become king? So this trollop from the lake just gave you a sword and you're a king. It's like, what kind of a government system is that? Yes, we get it. So Dennis's way is ridiculous, but Arthur's way is just as ridiculous if you think about it. Which it just makes the whole scene funny and a great like political satire without like hammering it in your face political satire, which is funny.
Which also, this was actually a satire of the Labor Party at the time too.
Yes.
Because,
It's so weird. And when you have to remember when they started, it was the stuffy conservatives that they ridiculed. And then the Labor Party came on and they ridiculed them. So they were just like every good comedian, they're anti whoever's in charge. So,
well, this is
authoritarian.
This is why, well, they're anti-authoritarian to begin with, but also this is why Meffistoe and Trey Parker have cited countless times that the reason why they really got into comedy to begin with was because of the Monty Python troupe. And it shows in everything that they've ever done.
Yeah, it's ridicule for ridicule's sake. And there's no sacred cows, and we can take whoever we want and just make a satire, parody, everything.
No,
And
it's
actually,
perfect.
It's more pronounced in Life of Brian, but we'll leave it for Life of Brian.
Yes, it's also very prominent in Meaning of Life too. And yeah, we're going to get to that. Yeah. But what's really great too is about this kind of sense of humor in Monty Python, and it goes through again with Meffistoe and Trey Parker stuff. There are no sacred cows, but there are also no scapegoats.
Yeah, that's right. I would say so too, because some of the stuff is just to have fun with it, and some of the stuff is like
actual satire. Yeah.
Like really deep satire. But in this one, they had a lot more fun with it rather than dragged it on to.
Well, because they had to, because the production was awful.
You talked about a silversmith with one leg.
Okay, so the duel between the Green Knight and the Black Knight, that was
something from the legends, yeah.
Well, no, but the fact that there was actually two of the actors doing the whole actual swordplay between the Black Knight and the Green Knight.
Yeah,
that was John Cleese and it was Michael Palin. Yeah. They were actually doing that because we get to dress up in armor and play with swords. This is fun.
I mean, the duel itself was not like the greatest swordsmanship ever.
No, they were just fucking around. Yeah.
They just needed to have a duel. But yeah, like I said, because they did all the research, they had to put the elements of it there. I think was it the Green Knight in the Arthur Legends, like Galahad, the guy that was actually promised to be the next savior or something?
Supposedly, yes. Yeah. According to the Arthurian legend, but that's
But the whole point is that the Black Knight loses.
Yeah.
Originally.
That's what's really funny about this, because they take. It's really great about this film because they obviously did their homework, because they took all of the history about it and they kind of swerved it in a way.
Exactly. Which what a good comedy does, or a parody or a satire does.
And what's interesting too is the fact that they actually even mock about the whole French thing, is because technically Arthur was French.
Yes, I was like, the funny bit is, if you don't know anything about the UK, at some point, if you just seen Robin Hood, they're talking about Anglo-Saxon and Norman. Normans were people from Normandy. That were technically English, but they were French. So, like, King Richard was a Norman. He was French.
Well, he spoke fluent French. He spoke barely any actual English. But
this whole scene, first of all, the memes from this is what people remember, and the jokes. It's like the Black Knight always triumphs. And it is but a scratch. It's like all the stuff that is.
Cut your elbow. No, you didn't.
But
the leg bit, they actually had a silversmith that was actually working on set who had one leg.
Oh, okay. So he was there standing in.
He was the one. No, if you notice, there's the cut there where it's John Cleese is dressed as the Black Knight hopping around. Then all of a sudden, it just it falls off and he's just hopping.
Yeah. This one. Yeah, I've had.
And then inevitably, when it actually he's just down to just a stump, they had actually dug a pit
Yes,
where John Cleese was just
it was
legs down.
You have to remember, guys. John Cleese is a 6'4" dude, right? So if
Big
you're European, is above 2 meters. So they had to dig a big motherfucking hole to make him just have it by the waist. But we'll call it a draw. We'll just
Tis
call
but a flesh wound.
Yeah. It's so funny because you know that.
Are you running away, you yellow bastard?
And it's so funny because people do, like, because of memes and jokes and all that stuff, people know this scene that have never watched the actual scene itself. They know the quotes from it. They don't know where, why, and what is from. And I told you this in private many times. This is why I want this show to exist, okay? It's to get people to watch this movie. Like I imagine that most of the people in the chat here today with us probably have seen this movie more than one time. It's those people that have never seen it that I want you to go and watch this movie. I want you to go and watch all the Monty Python movies, and we'll have an argument later on in the month about which one is the best, because we do have an argument about that. But yeah, and one of the things, again, that is most quotable and most thing is the next scene where he recruits Sir Bedivere, Terry Jones, and you could imagine Terry Jones, one of the directors, having that costume on and directing the crew.
Oh god, he had to have been fucking furious the entire time.
Yeah, and it's, you turned me into a newt, but I got better.
I got better.
It's like, it's a witch, it's a witch. And they go through that whole process of, like...
So what do you burn besides witches? Other witches! More witches!
Why? It's like, why do witches burn? And nobody knows why. It's like, because they made out of...
what burns? Wood?
They're made out of wood. And because they're supposed to be like farmers and like simple people, they don't know much. And
so what do you do? Build a bridge out of her.
Exactly. What else do you do with wood? It's like all that stuff. It's like, so if she weighs as much as a duck, then we don't know.
No. James, the greatest line is when the scales balance out. It's like, there's a witch. It's like, 'tis a fair court.
A fair cop. A fair cop is like a true, like, arrest. It's an English thing. A fair cop. But yeah, it's the whole point is they had scenes like this completely, like, chucked away. So they had one for Galahad, they had one for Lancelot, and they had one for Sir Robin. Scenes like this,
brave Sir Robin.
Yes, short 5, 6, 7 minute scenes to get Arthur to recruit the entire crew, but they just chucked it away. That was
instead that's where they put in the whole the book of the film.
Yes.
And the aptly named Sir not appearing in this film.
Yes. And
who was supposed to be who? Sir Gawain.
Sir Gawain.
Yeah.
Yes. And the lovely hand here is Carol Cleveland.
Yes.
Who was the actress that they used since the BBC series, and you have they wanted it to have something more meaningful, so they had like this gorilla hand like kill her off at the end of this sort of sequence.
And that was actually that was Terry Gilliam's.
That was Terry Gilliam
in a monkey, little an ape fist, but
and they're off to Camelot, but. Of course.
What's great is we actually get the only line from Terry Gilliam's Patsy.
It's only a model.
It's only a model.
At this point, it's not actually a model.
Yeah.
It's the same castle from a different angle. Again.
And note that this is where where Spam-A-Lot came from, because
Yeah.
Spam-A-Lot's in the song. Yeah.
Yes. Is it in the Spam-A-Lot musical? This
Yeah,
particular
well, the song, yeah.
Okay.
Spam-A-Lot.
And
Let's not go there. 'Tis a silly place.
place. And then they ride off into whatever they're doing, and of course we've got
And there's the cat harming scene 3. You hear it.
Oh,
You go,
and they have the the God scene before the French scene. We've got the God scene. It's like, so you stop groveling. I hate when people grovel. It's like, what are you doing now? It's like, we're averting our eyes. Like, stop that. It's like I want to get to business. Like, God is a man that it's like,
why do people keep asking me for forgiveness?
it's like, oh, these miserable psalms, they're so depressing. It's like, yes, it's God is saying everything. It's sort of their criticism towards the church, towards established religion, which just
specifically the English church. Yeah.
yeah, specifically the English church. But yeah, I think one of them was Catholic or had Catholic upbringing. I think it's Terry Jones. But he wasn't like Catholic himself.
Yeah.
And then, of course, one of the best scenes in the entire thing. Your mother was a hamster, and your father smelled of elderberries.
And now go away before I taunt you a second time.
And for years,
and your nuggets.
And this is why you should watch certain movies in a sequence. I watched Willy Wonka when I was like 8 years old, and he was like, "Oh, there's snozberries." I'm like, there's no snozberries. And this guy said elderberries, and I thought elderberries was just an invention. There is an elderberry.
Elderberry,
yeah. It's more prevalent in the UK, but it's like, okay, never mind. It's my own personal story. Fine.
Of course I'm French. Why do you think I have this outrageous accent?
Yeah. What? It's like when they ask him, "What are you doing in England?" And I was like, "Do you not know your history?" Again, Normans. It's like, it's none of your business. So what they do is
what's so funny too is the fact that when he says, because it's a setup and payoff in a way. Where it's just like, I told him we already had one.
Yes.
He wasn't technically lying because it was supposed to be in Castle Ark.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not only that, it's like, I told him we've already got one, and they're like snickering as if they either don't have it or do have it, and they just taunt him with it. But then they attack the thing. They get not mauled, but they throw like farmyard animals
and food, which I oddly enough is a really funny story, because they're actually doing a joke on a modern folktale legend about the siege of Carcassonne. And during that, apparently Carcassonne was under siege. So what they did was they realized that they were running out of food, so they actually flung food and livestock outward to convince them that we had enough, we don't care, we'll outlive the siege.
Oh, nice.
And apparently that worked.
Okay. All right. And of course, they send in
the Trojan rabbit.
The Trojan, it's a rabbit. I was gonna say a badger, but it's no.
No, because later he goes, well, now if we make a badger.
Yes. So they just wheel in this wooden, and you can't tell because it's far away, but it's a wooden rabbit. It's like, okay, it's the old tale of the Trojan horse, But what they didn't do, what Sir Bedivere didn't do, is like tell them the entire tale or the entire plan, so they fuck it up. And of course, once it gets discovered, they catapult that wooden, like the rabbit out, and they hit one of the squires,
Yeah.
which is hilarious.
Or one of the horses, I
One
guess.
of the horses are
who already got hit by a cow earlier.
yes. And you can tell that like the face of disappointment on Arthur is like, oh my god,
What
stupid
about
idiot.
a wooden badger?
So good. And of course, throughout this, we've got this, and this is the only remnants
Yes.
from the stuff they originally planned is the real world, and the Arthur world is this bit.
The tie together. Which is so interesting too is the fact that like you can tell it wasn't any of them. Do you know why? That guy was on horseback.
Exactly. So this professor is talking about the Arthur legends and how it's sort of a trend. It looks like a transitional point, as if this guy is the storyteller from the book. When they like switched over the book, there's a storyteller telling about the tales of how they went and how they whatever. And in comes in this guy on the horse, kills this dude, and every time they did a transition between scenes, they go back to this as they come in.
Because I think
police starts to investigate, and then
they come in, and then the next time is after that is the shrubbery that's been trampled over.
Exactly, and they when they look over the shrubbery, they hear the explosion
from the
in
hand grenade,
and they kind of follow, and they culminates through this weird ending that they have at the end. And yes, I jumped through, but yes, it's and they used this along with Terry Gilliam's animation transition to actually move from scene to scene, so it won't be just a boring story. It would be more like sort of a sketch show, like they used to do.
Like, go back to Monty Python's Flying Circus, but in one succinct package.
Yeah, but have that sort of a
overall through line,
storyline, which they had trouble to do in the first place. That's why it was all jumbled up until it kind of got condensed into the sort of Arthur thing.
Yep, and then from there we have just what
Sir
we have Sir Robin, brave Sir Robin.
Exactly. Let me see there. Sir Robin. Right. One point in here is the music. The guy on Eric Idle's Sir Robin's right shoulder is a guy called Paul Innes, who he recently died. I think it was 2022. Mm-hmm. Recently died, and he was he collaborated with Monty Python on all the songs back then. All of the songs that Eric Idle worked on. He worked on some songs they brought in. They had the stage show, which was the Hollywood Bowl, which we're not going to cover because it's a stage show rather than a movie.
Yeah. Well, and also again, from here on out, he actually helped write pretty much most of the song. Like what most notably, Always Look on the Bright Side of Life. That wasn't in his work. The Galaxy song wasn't in his work. Was it Every Sperm is Sacred? That's an Innes work.
Yeah, and what I wanted to highlight here is something that is production-wise, and we'll switch back to us. They actually gave him to do the score. So he actually began to do the score. And what he did was he took like about 8 people and wrote a score and did it through they used like old tools, or not old tools, but old like instruments to make the score, right? And they basically done the movie, got the Paul Innis score and they put it in the movie and it didn't work. Right? You mentioned the fact that the score was too loud at the end. Before it was too loud at the end, it was a Paul Innis complete score.
Yep.
And Terry Gilliam was like, dude, it sounds like a high school band and it just doesn't work. So they went and got a full orchestra to do the score. And even Paul Ennis said it was way better than mine.
Yeah.
And it was just way, way better because it sounded very professional, right? Trumpets and all that stuff that was not there on the Paul Ennis score.
Mhm.
So it just punched up everything. And of course, once they lowered and made it through the punchline just hit, it was magic.
Yep.
Right. So Robin ran away. He bravely ran away. Oh, brave for Robin. The fact that on the introduction song,
He's like, he ran away, and he buggered off.
it was when the introduction song before he meets like the three-headed giant was like, he didn't care. He would have his brain smashed in or his liver cut out. Or,
at one point, they were like, okay, you can stop now.
yeah, go ahead. Just okay. It's fine. It's fine for now. And when they meet the giant is just, it's Graham Chapman, Terry Jones, and Michael Palin just arguing with each other. And by the time they decide what to do, brave Sir Robin ran away. It was just
bravely run away.
One little scene, and it just gave you just a little bit about like the tale of Sir Robin.
Yeah,
because he has a big chicken on his like shield. That's his crest.
What's interesting is too, if you look at it, the way he actually holds it, whenever he's actually in a scene where he's a coward, he wears it on the other arm, so it looks like the chicken is facing the other way, so it looks like he's actually running away.
Yes. It's this is the approach to, but yeah, it's
great. It's great.
It's a great little scene, and again, it's sort of a sketch within the movie that has nothing to do with like the main storyline, but it helps just create a little bit of story because you get a little bit of Galahad's story, you get the Sir Robin story, and you get the Lancelot story, but not
with Sir Robin. No, you get a setup and payoff with Sir Robin because as soon as he knows that once Lancelot passes at the Bridge of Death, he's like, oh, confidence. He goes, oh, I've got this. I'm no longer afraid.
Exactly. And once he buggers off is it before scene 24 or after?
This is before. So we have the monk, the Terry Gilliam monk pool painting scene, the ES Domine Donis Requiem, the diving in, and then we have Sir Galahad and Castle Anthrax.
Castle Anthrax, right there.
No, we must save you. It is too perilous. I'm like, I can face a little bit of peril.
Well, that's the rescue. But before the rescue, it's Carol Cleveland again on a double role. She's both Zoot and now I forgot the name.
I forgot her name. I don't remember.
It's Zoot and the other twins. Basically, her the same.
But what's interesting is that the costume designer actually advised against nudity. So if you've noticed, some of the actresses have some extra clothing on.
Yeah, when he goes through, like I said it before, when he goes through the room, so he had the scene where the two doctors are sort of examining him, and then he runs away and he goes into the room where it's sort of their bathhouse type thing. Some of them are completely wet with just one layer.
Yes, correct.
But because they did certain cuts, they cut that away from the movie. So the good bits or the fun bits are not shown at all. And some of them have double layering. So even if they were a little bit wet, you didn't see it from the front. And it kind of keeps with the fact that, on their show, sometimes they had nudity, but it was very scarce.
Yeah, until the meaning of life and this is heaven scene.
Yeah.
Which we're gonna get to.
And it
was the salmon moose.
it was mostly down to like Terry Gilliam's cutout animation stuff that was like sort of was supposed to be like titillating and not really is
And of course we have Zoot breaking
very serious.
But we have Zoot breaking the fourth wall. We're like, I really like this bit. And I was like, get on with it.
Yeah, get on with it. Now, that whole scene of get on with it, I've never seen until I was like 25, maybe even 28.
Really?
I never saw that scene until I actually, like a buddy of mine, we reconnected after a few years, and then we went off to see it in like a theater, and it was there. I was like, whoa, I've never seen this scene before, like ever. I had the
No, I just think it was young Meph going, titties.
No.
I'm messing with you, buddy.
And yes and no.
Yes and no.
Not at that point. But the whole point is like, I've never seen this scene before. But it kind of comes back to the end where there's like get on with it at the end. Or close to the end, never mind. And it's like, that the joke now ties in.
Now it lands, yeah.
And when Lancelot frees Galahad, it's like you said, it's like, I want to face a little bit of peril. It's like, no, it's too perilous.
No, it's too perilous.
It's too perilous. And then it's like, then I was like, I bet you're gay. It's like,
no.
No. It's like, okay, I get it. It's fine. It's fine. It's all good. I love it. I do love that. It's it's too perilous for you.
It's too perilous.
What? I'm Galahad. I'm supposed to be the chosen one. And then, of course, scene 24, Terry Gilliam at his best.
Which is so funny. This is kind of a very poignant scene in its own way, because do you know what this actually was the impetus behind? Naming a certain kind of film group that started up in the last couple of years. It's made some really good films in the last couple of years.
Oh, tell me. I'm intrigued.
A24.
A24 is after this?
It's based off of 24, scene 24. It's one of the inside little jokes and jabs. We're like, oh, this is supposed to be one of the most important scenes in the movie, but it's really not.
Okay. I've seen a few like productions from A24 is like WB, I think.
Yeah, it's more of their independent side.
It's their art house type studio. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, it's sort of like this is supposed to like be a pivotal scene of where they discover where to like who to get to the Grail, not the actual Grail. And he's very, very mysterious. And it's like, oh, you go ahead and look for the enchanter. I think he doesn't even call him Tim. He calls him like,
no, you must seek out the enchanter.
And he will tell us where the Grail is. I was like, and he vanishes. And then we are the knights who say never understood why it was so scary. Never, ever in my life understood why it was so scary.
There was say you again.
Exactly. So they go to the forest, the crazy.
Bring us a shrubbery. A nice one, not too expensive.
And of course, they go out and seek the shrubbery, and they ask this old lady. And
oh no, that cuts.
It's
there.
later on.
We'll tie the scenes together here. Yeah. So
we'll tie them together because we've got the Lancelot Swamp Castle thing.
Yes, but then we have we'll go ahead and just tie that together. So we have them going actually back into the town that they were previously at before.
Same place. Actually, the same place.
But and the crone, which this is cat scene 4 and 5 together.
Okay.
She's beating the rug with a cat.
and they try to get answers from her, and she doesn't answer. So they use the same tactics on her, and Benevire's like,
No.
yeah, no, it's higher. You have to higher. It's like neat. I was like, yes, you got it. And Roger the Shrubber comes in. Oh, when ruffians are telling knee to old ladies, and it's like, who are you? It's like, I'm Roger the Shrubber. Shrubberies is my name. And Benevire's like, knee. It's like, relax. You need them. And when they get them the shrubbery, which is basically a few bushes, it's like, okay, we need you to cut.
So we are no longer the knights who say knee. We are the knights who say nicky tang zip bong.
It's like, okay, fine.
You bring us to the shrubbery.
To do a quest, what is the request? You have to cut all the woods in the forest.
And cut down the tallest oak with a herring.
And Arthur's like, no, I'm not doing that. That's like, and the main knight is like, oh, why not? It's like, you stupid asses. And when as they start to talk,
I said the word again. Well, we can't very well go around not saying the word is.
Yeah, is fine. It's it.
Yeah.
And when Robin comes in, he says it a lot, and they just can't do it. And by the time Arthur's just frustrated, and they just leave.
It's the same thing would happen with Sir Robin and the three-headed giant.
But before that,
Go back to
the Lancelot story,
Yes.
which is just glorious.
It's all about Prince Herbert and the King of the Swamp. He's like, why would you marry her? She has huge tracts of land.
Yes, and this is I use that still till today. Yes. I'm a shithead when it comes to them titties. Anyway,
and the guards here they're doing just a clear riff and just an homage to Abbott and Costello.
yes. I don't know how it came by, but it's like, oh, you stay here and you guard him so he doesn't leave. And
Got it. So I'll guard him and he can leave. No.
full on Abbott and Costello, but it's so funny when it's like, okay, you got it. Yes, we've got it. And he leaves and they go with him.
Oh, we're following you.
It's like, we're living with you. It's like, oh my God. And when like the whole point with Prince Herbert is them not, it's like they're trying to avoid not do a musical on purpose. And every time he goes into the songs, I stop it. Stop. We're not doing this now. We're just doing the scene. And he leaves. And by the way, he does a great Scottish accent in this one, Michael Palin.
And it was James who brought this up earlier with that quote too. When he just Prince Herbert ties the note and it was like, and you just have him just looking, the guards are smiling at him as he shoots the message out, and it hits Concord and is like, message for you, sir.
Thank you.
You will not have died in vain. No, I'm all right. You will not be mortally wounded in vain. No, I think I'm all right.
It's like, shall I come with you, sir? No, Concord, no. So it's that running
last
joke
time you
of
see
I'm not
Concord.
dead yet, basically, which comes in again with the dad. So Lancelot comes in.
With the father, and then also with Prince Herbert in the same scene.
So Lancelot comes in, charges in. You have that sort of double scene or triple scene of him.
Okay, I love the guards outside the castle walls. I think that always gives me the biggest laugh. Because, the big burly guy who's sitting there, like, he's taking a bite of an orange and spitting it out. And the guy with a clear, like, scar on his cheek, who looks like the toughest guy on set, when he just runs up and stabs, he goes, hey.
You know what's funny? The guy who says, hey, the guy with the scar, is in Life of Brian, when Brian sort of gets out of the wreckage of the spaceship, is the guy who says, you lucky bastard.
Oh,
the
you're
same dude.
right. Yeah, that is.
Same
Yeah.
dude. But yeah. So Lancelot comes charging in, killing everybody, kicks the bride in the fucking stomach, and he even stops and chops off like a
It's one of the sconces with roses in
with
his.
roses in it. It's like he is so like into the battle, and he goes out. He reaches Prince Herbert, and he kneels like, "Oh, Your Majesty." Oh shit!
Oh
No.
shit. Well, the same thing too is that the father goes, "Oh, you thought I was a princess. I could understand that mistake."
And the father comes in and is like, "Oh, this will cost me an arm and a
This is
leg."
like, "Oh wait, you're from Camelot?"
Yeah.
Which again, at that point in time, he would be of more notable repute anyway. So it's like, yeah, well, we're gonna go with this guy. Yeah, you murdered a whole bunch of people, even my own people, but don't worry about it. It's okay.
Yeah. And Herbert is like, "Oh, I've prepared us a means of escape. Come on."
I'm ready to go. So
And
that's
the
enough.
dad is like, chopped it off. And it's like, "Oh." And he drops out of the window. And of course, when the dad comes in, it's like, since Prince Herbert has fallen to his death,
Now,
I
see,
consider you as a daughter in all of the legal.
that I've gained. I have not lost a son. I've gained a daughter. And then also the line is like, "Let's not bicker and argue about who killed who."
Yeah. And the dad is like waking up. It's like, he's getting better. And
They basically just have to go
getting better. He felt
whack
the
him.
cold hand of death reach him. He's dead now. Oh,
When
so
Prince
good.
Herbert comes in too and starts like singing about his rescue, he's like, "Well, no, I have to make something more in my idiom. I have to make my exit more dramatic." Dramatic. And how he just swings is like, "Oh, escape!" And you can hear him go, "Can someone give me a push?"
Yeah, and to me, it was they're trying to do like an Errol Flynn, a
Exactly.
Robin Hood type
No,
of.
that's exactly what they were trying to do. Yeah.
Yeah, so but it just didn't work because he didn't let go, basically. But it was fun. The whole scene is supposed to be like so brutal, but yet they make it so much fun. You just have to laugh. And again, it comes to proper writing and knowing they know their shit because it's a full-on skit. If you look at it as a full-on skit, it's just a full, very long skit. And it just works within the confines of this movie because it's a Lancelot went out to get the Grail.
Yeah.
But he's also Lancelot and he's going out to damsel in distress. And he just has this adventure while he was seeking the Grail. It was just fun. The whole scene was fun. And of course, I didn't show any of it. But
hey, we're here to review the film, not show them.
And of course, we mentioned after the shrubbery scene, it's the whole police coming in and then they examine this body and kind of gets into the motion of where we are with the story, right? I'm going to continue on. Yeah. You know what? We've got about a half an hour plus, so we'll just stop here because we've got a fair bit to do. We've got Tim, we've got all the Bridge of Death and all that stuff. So we'll do our second game.
I wanted to add real quick is there are several times before this, and it's another recurring gag, as well, where apparently King Arthur can't count. He's like, 1, 2, 5, 3, 3.
Yeah, but it comes to the
hand grenade, and then later too. Yeah,
and we have a little bit of a just to tease you for the next bit after the game, a tie-in with a very well-known PC game.
Yes.
Yes, but before that, Screen Fighter time.
Round 1, fight.
Screen Fighters, where we take two movies, pit them together, and see which one is the best one. If there's no discernible difference between the two, both of them are good or both of them are bad, we fall into our criteria, which is Saturday evening, Friday evening, out with the boys, out with the girls, out with your significant other, two movies in a vacuum. Which one will we pop in? F11 first, and then share. The Truman Show or The Never Ending Story. Chat participation is most welcome. Shoot your load, chat, because this one is important. Oh, my feelings?
The Never-Ending Story.
Tell me why.
It's too much nostalgia. It's way too much. I've probably seen that film probably at least 100 times.
How many times?
That's no hyperbole.
How many times did you cry?
Way too many.
I love The Truman Show, but The Truman Show never made me cry about a fucking horse that I don't even like horses.
Yeah.
And it made me cry about the dead mom that I never had a dead mom.
Yeah.
It's
and also Truman Show did not give us Falcor, so sorry.
Yes,
It
and
loses.
Falcor, and the little engineer, and Atreyu, and everything,
And the Gates, and
I have to say, when I was a kid, I had a major crush on the princess. Don't get yourself any ideas. Literally, when I was 8, I was like, "Oh my god!"
And you know who that was?
Don't remember her name, but she never did anything really important after that.
Yeah, because it was in the sequel. That was the girl that was in.
I never saw the sequel.
Yeah, don't.
Never saw the sequel. I know all about it. I never saw the sequel.
Don't bother.
Never interested. No. To me, the never-ending story, even though it's supposed to be like it is book-ended, but it's not. To me, it was a self-contained story that ended with I'm going to recreate Fantasia.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it was always the one movie for me. I don't need any continuation. I love Falcor. I don't need a Falcor story. All right. Cocoon or So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Okay. You're going to get really mad at me about this. But
Why?
I secretly love So I Married an Axe Murderer. It's one of my favorite Mike Myers films. It really is. I think that movie is hilarious.
Why
love that
would
movie.
I ever do such a thing to you? Why? Because secretly,
Cocoon overall is a better film overall, but I mean, come on.
Because secretly, I love So I Married an Axe Murderer. I know it's
Movie is so fun.
terrible movie. It's a terrible movie. But Mike Myers is really good at it. Is it the one is it the one where he actually plays a Scottish old dad in it, right?
I think so.
One? I haven't seen it so long, but there is a movie where he plays like a Scottish old dad. I think it's in this one. I'm not sure. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I do love it. You know what? I've seen So I Married an Axe Murderer more times than I've seen Cocoon. Definitely more times than I've seen Cocoon 2. But I've seen both Cocoon and Cocoon 2. It's good.
Yeah.
It's a Spielberg movie, right? No,
it's Ron Howard.
Ron Howard movie. Never mind. It's a Ron Howard movie. Never mind. It has Steve Guttenberg in it in the first one.
Yes.
I'm not sure about the second one, but it had Steve Guttenberg in the first one. And I love Steve Guttenberg, and he could.
This is at the height of his powers too.
Yeah, it's like he could do no wrong in the 80s. It's a good movie. It's not a bad movie. And So I Married an Axe Murderer is not the best movie in the world, but it's just a winner for me. It's partly why I love Hudson Hawk. Elf or The Wizard of Oz, original Wizard of Oz.
Oof.
Do you want me to go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Wizard of Oz, hands down. No point in contention. I don't like songs in movies, but some movies do have an exception.
watch it.
It's a better movie to me.
I'm
I
gonna
don't
say,
I don't particularly like Will Ferrell, and the whole point of Judy Garland and her whole like drug and alcohol bit outside of the movie business really did not play a thing for me when I was watching Wizard of Oz. Now I watched Wizard of Oz when I was 9, right, on a VHS rental.
well, to be fair, I think everyone's seen The Wizard of Oz when they were kids. I
No, you would be surprised.
well,
Not
not anymore, but
not
when we were
well, yeah.
kids, because we're old as dirt. But
You know what's weird? When we rented The Wizard of Oz, the next week, my mom rented 2 movies. The Return to Oz, which was generally thought of as not as good, which
yes,
on the whole it wasn't, but I like it. And The Wiz. So I
Wiz.
saw The Wizard of Oz and The Wiz by like a week apart.
I would have to say though, to pick between The Wizard of Oz and The Wiz, I'd rather watch The Wiz because The Wiz is fun.
Yeah, The Wiz is fun. The Wiz
It
is
is.
fun.
It's just it's a fun movie. As this is Elf, I would have to say this is right before Will Ferrell became Will Ferrell, and he was at like right before he got to the like where he
This
was
is
the
still
it guy.
SNL. Yeah, this is still SNL.
This is after after Old School, but right before the big rush of films like Anchorman and everything like really propelled him further. I would have to always go with Wizard of Oz because it's such a classic. I mean,
Yep. And it still holds up, even though it's like a 39 movie.
Yeah.
The Lost World Jurassic Park, which is the 3rd of the originals Jurassic Park?
Yes.
Or the 2nd one. I'm not sure.
I think that's the
and
3rd
Paper
one.
Don't
Have you seen Paper Moon?
I don't think I've seen Paper Moon.
You probably have not seen Paper Moon.
I've seen that poster before, but don't think I've seen the actual.
Oh, so Paul, confirm. That's the second. So that's when they brought the Tyrannosaurus to LA then, Paul, correct?
This is the 2nd one. Yeah, I've definitely seen all of the
Or
first.
LA, or some port city, anyway.
I've definitely seen all of the first 3. I just didn't see the Chris Pratt trio because I don't like it. Kick-Ass or Jurassic Park?
The only reason why I saw the Jurassic World series because of one actress. Because I'm a sucker for redheads.
Bryce Dallas
Howard.
I saw Argyle.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to seeing that film.
If you haven't seen Argyle, don't pay for it.
The only thing that I was
if
thinking,
you really have to, don't pay for it.
The only thing I was thinking that may save it was Sam Rockwell, because it's Sam Rockwell just chewing scenery. But never mind then.
Nope.
Speaking of, the only reason why I would choose Kick-Ass because it's Nick Cage, where he basically just went completely off script during Kick-Ass. Yeah. And he's just like, no, this is my version of Batman. I'm just going to do what the hell ever I want to do.
Yeah. It's like, you wouldn't want me as a Superman. Now you got me as a fake Batman, and I'll do whatever the fuck I want. I love that movie so much. I love the fucking Chloe Gross Moretz or whatever.
Chloe Grace Moretz, yeah. She was good in that.
And Kick-Ass 2, not so much.
No, Kick-Ass 2, because Kick-Ass 2 didn't go far enough.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because, oh my God, do not read the comic books. It gets real fucking good.
Sometimes with these comic book movies, I'm pretty sure I don't want to read the original material because I would hate it. It's like what happened to me with the MCU.
Yeah.
At the end, I liked Infinity War, but after I saw Infinity War, I went back.
I told you about that too. Like once you watch the MCU films, don't go back and read the movie. Don't go.
Yeah,
back.
I was like, I went to read the Infinity Gauntlet saga. No, it's
not. No.
Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance. Never saw that one.
Sorry. Oh my God, you have to see that one because it's just like I Saw the Devil. It's so fucking good.
12 Angry Men or Black Hawk Down. This is the remake. This is a remake. Yes. This is a remake.
It's a fantastic remake, but I have to go with Black Hawk Down on that one.
Okay.
Because 12 Angry Men is great, but you watch it once, maybe twice, and you go, okay, I'm good. But
Interesting. Really interesting.
Oh, Paul, if you haven't seen Sympathy for Mr. Go watch that movie. You'll love it. You will love it.
I'm kind of tempted to
It's
go
on that. It's on that whole Korean vengeance kick, like with Old Boy and
yeah. If it's like Old Boy, I'm gonna love it.
Yeah, it's really good.
You told me to go watch Old Boy, and I was like, okay, I'll watch it. And it's like, yes. Okay, I'm gonna go with 12 Angry Men. I like both versions actually. The really old one, I think it's even in black and white, right? Is it
the original?
Gregory,
Yes.
is it Gregory Peck? Not Gregory Peck. What's his face?
Yeah, I do believe so.
Is it Gregory Peck?
I think so.
It's definitely black and white, and both versions are pretty good.
Paul can correct us if we're mistaken, but I do believe it is Gregory Peck.
Yeah. If not, it's probably.
Oh, Fonda was in it too. Yeah.
What's his face? Scott C. something, rather. Anyway, I like both versions. They're both a little bit different from each other, just a little bit, because it is, I think, after a book. Again, you can correct me on this.
It's actually after a stage play.
As a stage play. So they adapt it in a little bit of a different way, like both versions. Black Hawk Down, not a bad movie. It's Ridley Scott. It's a powerful movie. I've seen it twice. It's enough for me. It's definitely enough for me. It's all the stuff. I'm gonna go with what crowd says Black Hawk Down overall.
Fair.
One last pairing. Pauly Shore is Dead. Definitely haven't seen that one.
That movie is actually it's actually fun.
Okay.
Oh, this is a toughie.
The Dark Crystal or The Rock, which we are going to cover
very soon. That's going to be a fun month.
Yes.
Yeah, Lee J. Cobb. That's Paul. You're right. For me, though, I'm going to have to go with The Dark Crystal. Fucking love everything about the puppeteering in that. And come on. David fucking Bowie. Come on.
That's Labyrinth.
Shit. I'm mistaken.
Dark Crystal is not the Labyrinth.
Oops. I'm mistaking it then. Never mind. I have to go with The Rock.
Enough blunders to pack a mule.
Yeah, I completely conflated those two films. That's my mistake.
The Dark Crystal was another Jim Henson property that bombed hard.
Yes, that's why I'm conflating the two of them. That's why.
The problem with the Dark Crystal.
Forgive me, Paul.
Was the problem with the Dark Crystal, it was a very adult story, but because it was puppets, it was kind of, it's one of those things where the marketing department and the people who made the movie don't talk to each other so much. So
in many ways, it's kind of like Legend.
Kind of, but not really. So it has a really dark-ish story to it. It's not a bad movie. I think it when it came out,
I've seen it, and I'm just conflating the two. That's again.
If I remember correctly, people didn't like the Dark Crystal, and I don't think he even made any serious money. I need to check the box office stuff, and it suffered exactly Return to Oz. So it's a very dark story, but you have puppets and elements, and so it. The marketing department saw puppets and they just marketed it towards the entire family. And I think this is one of the movies where it got a PG-13 label or something that so
You shouldn't have had.
actually go and watch this.
Yeah.
So it was off. Let's just say this. It was off. It's not a bad movie.
Well, now I'm gonna have to do my homework and go watch it after this.
It's worth watching. It's
now I feel bad because I know I've seen it and I'm just conflating the two films.
if you look at the puppets, it's because you can definitely tell this is Hanson Company puppets. There is no mistake there. They have that style. When they do like an evil style, it's their evil style. So it's immediately recognizable. So if you go and watch like The Storyteller TV series, like, of course it's Hanson.
Yeah.
Even though he died before it came out. It's like, it's Hanson. Yeah. It's The Rock. Easy. I love the Dark Crystal, but it's The Rock. Right.
I think that was my first major goof.
Well, let's add that onto my like 70 million.
I don't know. Your tally is like I've got like 4.5 pages.
Oh, that's fine. You can have like 10 pages, and I wouldn't be surprised about the amount of mistakes I've made. But hey, what can I do? I forget names when I need to remember them. Then I forget dates, and then I conflate different movies with different stuff. Like I said, in The Axe Murder, the granddad played by Mike Myers, it could be from a different movie. But
I do believe that is in that film, though, because I do believe that's when he introduces her to his family.
I think so, right?
I think so.
And it's the first time he did like a double role where he went through his Scottish heritage in order to draw out.
Well, and I do believe that was one of the impetus, the reason why unfortunately, after Chris Farley died, that's the reason why he got the role to play Shrek, was because of his ability to have the Scottish accent.
That's why he did Austin Powers.
Well, fat bastard, yeah. No, but Chris Farley was actually originally signed to also play Shrek. You know that, right?
No.
Yeah.
Shrek was in development like it came out what? 2001?
2001, but it was originally written in 96.
Rock on the Haggis.
Rock on the Haggis, yeah. Thanks, Hagar. We miss you, buddy.
Right. Tim the Enchanter.
Now, a fun bit.
Yes.
Now, your version, because you watched the 4K version, correct?
Yes.
Now, the one where he actually shows John Cleese on the precipice.
Yes.
That was him literally standing there in the wind.
Oh, I think like this version I have here is not the 4K. The 4K one I saw on Netflix.
Okay. Well, anyway, that shot, he would actually have to duck down in between takes because the wind was blowing. And if he were to fall, he could maim himself or die.
Yeah. I think it's not, I don't think it's actually this one. Because there is a close-up shot of him standing on that rock.
Yeah.
Right? This is if you want to know, in Scotland, this is an area called Glencoe. This is where they actually shot a lot of the scene where they charged the castle. That's in Glencoe. That's one of the when they shot in Glencoe was the first bits that they shot in the movie, and then they moved on to where that castle was. The castle. But yeah, they meet Tim, and he tells him about the Caer Banog.
The cave of Caer Banog. Like, death awaits you with nasty big pot teeth.
And the thing is, when they meet him, they're so afraid of him, is they can't even ask what's. Can you ask? It's like the Grail. Yes, the Grail.
You have to love the superfluous amount of explosions.
Yeah. It's like yes.
Some called me Tim. And oddly enough, that was not a gaffe, because people thought that was a mistake, that John Cleese actually forgot the name of the actual enchanter.
Yeah. And
So
no,
John Cleese was like, no, it was supposed to be like that. The pause was intentional.
nice. And look at the bones.
No, it's like, when they get close to, they're like, oh no, the horses are spooked. Everybody dismount.
Yeah. And that was like, and it's like, look at the bones. And
It's
when
scary. It's like,
the rabbit comes out, it's like, oh, I soiled my armor. I was so scared. And then later on, it comes back. It's like,
he's like, oh, you should go change your armor again.
yeah, you should go change your armor.
Yeah. What's funny is that the thing is, James, you mentioned Vorpal Bunny. What's interesting is back in the mid '90s. I don't know, like this is more of kind of a thing in the States. It kind of went overseas a little bit, but they made collectible card games out of everything.
Oh yeah.
And oddly enough, the most expensive cards from the Monty Python and the Holy Grail collectible card game, yes, this was a thing, was the bunny and the holy hand grenade.
You know what's crazy? I think it was a week ago. Tom was on Loki's like late night Friday show.
Yeah.
And he pulled out all of his collectible card collections. Binders and binders and binders of it. And he had the entire Monty Python.
That's cool. Yeah.
That's
the reason why he's one of our friends.
He just flipped over his dick on the table.
It's like,
fuck you. Boom.
What's up? Yeah.
Insane. The man has got an insane
correct, Hagar.
Yep. Yes. It like we can talk about this at the end, okay? The influences, because
this influenced so many things.
It influenced so many things. And the other thing I'm going to touch is, before we started our game, I kind of mentioned the fact that it actually inspired a PC game. And I want to get to this, basically this part. The Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch. Yeah. Now, the relic he's using, the hand grenade itself, it looks like one of the items that it's a papal thing. So it's one of the items that popes use for a sermon. It's supposed to hold like, I don't know, herbs or whatever, aroma of some sort. The thing is this. If you don't know or do know, the Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch is in the game Worms. And it wasn't from the second game, like most people I've seen online say. It was there in the original game. It just didn't look the way it does. But when you throw it, it's like, hallelujah.
Yeah.
And it gets thrown and explodes. It's the first time I saw a connection between a movie and a game. That was my experience back in the early 90s. It was a lot of fun. And when Worms 2 came out, it was more elaborate, graphics, and it looked as it looks like this. But yeah, this is where the whole count to 3, count to 5 bit.
1, 2, 5.
5.
3.
3. But yeah, the whole bit about Brunner Maynard opening the Tome of Armament, chapter 1, verse 23. And it shall blow into tiny bits.
And 1, 3 shall you count.
Yeah. 3 is the number you shall count, and the number you shall count is 3. 5 is right
out the window.
And it just continued on and on. It's like, okay, fine. How do we do this? Fine, we do this. Okay, let's throw this. 1, 2, 5. No, 3, sir. 3. And it explodes, and they go into the cave, and we have stuff about Joseph of Arimathea, which is in the Arthur Legends. As they read the Scrabbles, and Brother Maynard's like, oh, he must have died while writing this. It's in the castle of and they have an argument. How can a man like engrave something and die and write himself dying? That's the whole joke. And they turn around, so maybe it's the Black Beast of and Brother Maynard dies.
Well, it wasn't. He didn't mention that. He was like, no, look for it. And
Yeah.
which
No,
he
when
was
they
right.
turn around, Brother Maynard's, oh, it's the Black
Beast of yeah.
And of course the whole point, and this is one of my favorite jokes in the entire movie, is the fact that they have that sort of animated chase.
Oh, the animator, and then the animator had a heart attack, and that's Terry Gilliam just killing.
Terry Gilliam having a heart attack.
That's great. Oh, that's really good.
It's just it's to take everything you know and flip it on its head. Yeah. And of course, what accompanies this whole stuff is the cops kind of finding out all the different bodies, and they don't care about these bodies, but they do care about the guy who killed the professor. So they're always one step behind them, and it always gives kind of gives you the ending, but you don't know where it goes with the whole investigative thing. Because when you see the movie, it's like, why is this on now? Why are they looking for the murderer in the movie? The Bridge of Death.
Oh, the Bridge of Death. Now, this is a funny one. Because if you pay attention, if you are a fan of history like I am, the Bridge Keeper lies.
Interesting. What does he lie about?
What is the capital of Assyria?
Yeah.
Assyria didn't exist in 932.
Well, Assyria was an empire, the Assyrian Empire. It had a capital.
It was gone by then in history.
It was like gone by the time of 900. They were gone by the time 400 BC. But it's a fun little thing to ask. And the whole point is, okay.
I still love the fact that they mentioned the Bridge Keeper and they seem like, oh, that's the guy from Scene 24.
Yes. And sort of half fourth wall breaking without fourth wall breaking, I guess. Yeah. And the whole point is they look at Lancelot, and Lancelot is like, what's your favorite color for the third question, right? And it's like, oh, Robin is like, that's easy. He goes in and gets
Lancelot, blue. Well, off you go then.
and he gets the Assyrian question. He doesn't know, goes into the gorge, right? Yeah. Then Galahad comes in. And he's like, what's your favorite color? And he says blue.
Blue? No, yellow.
I was like, are you fucking stupid? Oh, yes. Yes, you are stupid. And then comes the biggest setup and payoff ever with the swallow thing.
Swallows, yeah.
As like, what's the average speed of an unladen swallow? It's like African or European?
I don't know.
And the Bridge Keeper goes off. Like, oh, we get it.
What's interesting is the fact they actually mentioned the whole flight speed of a laden or unladen swallow at the beginning in the castle.
And
yeah,
it's the two guys in the castle arguing, and Arthur has nothing to do with it.
Yeah,
argument.
Well, again, that line's like, how do you know so much about swallows? Well, as a king, you have to know these certain kinds of things.
Exactly. And of course, once they go past the bridge, Lancelot is...
Well, if you notice, too, as when Arthur and Bedivere are going across, they actually have the intermission there to do that cut due to Chapman's acrophobia and his DTs.
Yeah. And just to be clear, I want to get to the intermission part. Once the intermission rolls in, this is an hour and 21 in to an hour and 32. The intermission is about less than a minute. They wanted people to go out and pee and have the movie continue on purpose. And they solved the problem, and they fucked people.
They made a gag too, because this was supposed to be a giant epic, right?
Yeah.
No. No.
Wait a minute. It's been hour and 20. We're going on an intermission. This goes on for another hour 20? And I've not seen anywhere. I've seen them talk about they wanted people to like get up and start to leave to get like to go into concessions, right? Or to like take a piss or something, right?
Yeah.
But as they were leaving, because it's like about a minute, by the time people got to the door, the movie continued.
Yeah.
So everybody had to go back to the seats. That's the gag. But they didn't talk about people. They're trying to fool people about it's going to go for another hour and a half. So I don't know. Anyway,
it's a fun gag because it's playing.
argument.
What's great about it is it's playing off old Hollywood, how they had all the credits front loaded, then the intermission. So it's like it's playing off the old epics.
Yes. Now, you mentioned this at the start about this whole ship. Now, you can see Bedivere and Arthur, but there was supposed to be a
Boatman.
Boatman. Again, why did they cut him?
Because it was another superfluous gag that was just a rehash of a joke that they just did.
Because of the bridge keeper?
Yeah.
Okay. And they reach to the castle of Og, and suddenly there's our French guy.
Now, this is fantastic because the first thing that they shoot at him is a sheep.
Okay.
That sheep was supposed to be a stuffed sheep originally.
Okay. And it wasn't?
No.
Okay. But then they throw...
It was an actual sheep carcass.
Oh.
One of the assistant directors found on the side of the road.
Oh.
The prop director found it hilarious and wanted to utilize it. John Cleese said it was the worst smelling thing I have ever experienced in my entire life.
Ugh. Ugh.
Yeah.
I don't even want to think about what they threw at him. Like, it looked like mud, like very sloppy mud. But it
it's supposed to be a mock-up thing.
Yeah.
But what's great about it is that whole bit it's a callback to the original bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, where they threw animals at them.
No. About him being royalty because he's the only one not covered in shit.
Oh, not covered in shit all over him. Yeah.
And now he's covered in shit.
And they're so annoyed. And the funny bit is when they go in, it's like this amazing, with lots of smoke, boat, this kind of a Viking boat. But when they leave by foot because it's the water level isn't very high at that point because it's like the tide rolled in and it's been fucked up. Let me just go there. And yeah, there we go. Now this, like I said, this is a different castle that they used, but the other one they had to pay for because they had shots inside
in the interior. That's Castle Dwyer. Yeah.
This one they didn't need it because they only had a few shots of it from the outside. So you can do that. You are allowed to do that if you're doing like an outside shot, especially if somebody owns it and somebody owns this. But when they're at the door, with the other scene where you saw John Cleese's face, it's a mock-up. It's a composite. And when you see them taunting them, it's the first castle.
Yeah.
It's the first castle.
Because they shot all the exterior things of all the, especially all the French scenes, because they shot them all at once.
Yes. Yes. And when they got to like the army, again, this is like I mentioned, this is Glencoe, right? This is where they shot the Tim section. From the front and from the back, they shot something else because they needed that castle.
Yep.
Right? And of course, as they charge in to punish the French, they get and finally we see Lancelot, right? Because
we saw Lancelot earlier because Lancelot got arrested previously.
Oh yeah. That's right. And of course,
they're like, Lancelot, where are you? You just see him
getting arrested. And then they charge in. I tried to look for the kids here, but I didn't. Most of the kids are at the back holding like spears, so it's basically supposed to be crowded.
Yeah,
and this is a different place, by the way. This is not the place where they charged into.
Yeah.
And of course, they arrest Arthur, they arrest Bedivere, and the movie kind of rips apart, and it's over.
That's it.
It's over. And people were completely baffled.
You know what's funny too is the guys that the Monty Python troupe in general thought that the audience was going to have mixed reactions, so they did actually again have that whole bit where they're going to find it at Harrod's as a joke. But they're like, we don't know how the audience is going to take them looking for the Grail and not finding it.
Like I said, when I was a kid, this ending actually was annoying to me. Not because they didn't find the Grail. It was like, what was the point of the entire movie if they got arrested at the end and it kind of ended abruptly? And when I was a kid, I hated this ending. Sometimes I saw the movie up to the Bridge of Death and just stopped because I didn't like the rest of the movie for a long, long time. Now I find it completely fucking hilarious. And like you watch so far, you can't watch like 8 more minutes. Plus, you're missing all the fucking John Cleese taunts and the fucking
which are
in the
fantastic. Yeah.
So anyway, I love Monty Python. I was happy to have seen the original show. I was happy to catch and now for something completely different. And I have to mention now, it's a miracle that we even have those shows on Netflix or some other way of watching him.
Yes.
Because back in the day, the BBC, for all their shows, they were basically cheapskates. They had reels. By the way, in the documentary that they did, they said that every reel was about 90 pounds. So they cheapskated on 90 pounds. They wasn't forward thinking because what they did was, we don't want to buy new reels, so we'll just tape over these
old reels. Yeah.
And some of the old shows, like 50s, early 60s shows, are like not
gone forever. Which I'm surprised, again, on that same note, like I'm surprised some of the old Doctor Who seasons still exist.
Yeah, they were somehow saved. Now, what it was Terry Jones that he heard that it was happening. They were going to tape over like football games, soccer games, okay?
Yeah.
On top of their old shows, so he literally paid them what the tapes were worth. So he bought them new tapes and he exchanged them, and he just left it in his attic. They were just sitting there in his attic until somebody from the United States were like, we saw the movie, we liked it. Do you have anything else? It's like, yeah, Terry's got some in his attic. You can go ahead and watch those. And I'm
Yeah.
surprised it was well preserved. But some of the sketches are not there, apparently. I don't know how and why, but they said in some of the series, I think in the second series, it was all done. It's like, what? It says, never mind. It gave me a message. The broadcast is going to end in 5, 4, 3. It's like, what?
What?
No, it's for unpaid, so people can use EVMux for free for a couple of hours.
Gotcha.
But I've got the paid version because
I said, I agree actually with our buddies tag our sentiment there. It's very reminiscent of a lot of Monty Python stuff is reminiscent of it, where it's essentially there is no real meaning behind of it. It's more of just kind of the journey, and the pointlessness of it is in its own right the point.
yeah.
And that's why, like, we'll get to it later. Well, not so much with Life of Brian, but Meaning of Life. That's very true, because Meaning of Life is basically just, so we just took Flying Circus and made a whole bunch of skits and went, here you go. Here's the movie.
But it had a through line.
Yeah,
We'll talk about it when we get to it.
Meaning of Life does have a through line. We'll get to it.
We'll get to it. But one of the things with Monty Python is the fact that because their entire sketch show was, we want to move from sketch to sketch to sketch, there are moments where they either use Graham Chapman or Michael Palin or John Cleese to, like, okay, we're done with this skit, let's move on to the next skit. And they just moved on, and they not necessarily finished it because they didn't want to tie everything with a bow. They just wanted to, like, move from skit to skit to skit, just keep you on your toes, keep you laughing as you go.
Which in so many ways, it makes sense. Why it was really funny is Jerry Seinfeld really noticed that the concept of Seinfeld, the show, was based off of a lot of Monty Python stuff too.
Where there's no
point. Again, where they even mock their own show. It's a show about nothing when they do the pilot for Jerry, the show.
Yeah. And the thing with this whole troupe is the fact that, again, you have those different cliques and how they work together. But when you ask them about, okay, if you could have, like, disposed of one member, can we continue? And there's like, we can't.
We can't, yeah.
When Graham died, and Michael Palin said it, when Graham Chapman died, that was not the end, because the meaning of life, they kind of knew the meaning of life was the end. But when Graham Chapman died, they kind of knew in their heart of hearts that they're not going to come back
be the same.
Any sort of reunion or anything. And when they came to, like, Eric Idle came to produce Spamalot, he was like, the guys wouldn't want to do this. And when he came to them, they said, well, you can just do it on your own. It's fine. Just go.
Yeah, like, we give you our blessing, but, you know, it's not going to be the same.
Yeah,
course.
it's not going to be.
Never gonna
we're not going to do it. You're more than welcome to continue and just basically do a musical on the Holy Grail, which, again, you've seen. It's not exactly the Holy Grail, right?
It's not, but in a lot of ways it is.
But it is.
Yeah.
Because it is very much a musical rather than just a movie with sketches in it.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. I will watch Spamalot on one of these days.
You'll enjoy it a lot.
I probably will. That's why we kind of thought about, because we're going to be in New York in late April, so we thought we might go and watch it, but it's way too expensive.
And
and
also, like, again, you still haven't. Have you seen the Book of Mormon yet?
Not yet.
You'll love it.
I know I'm going to love it, but I am with kids. So.
I know. That's what, like, so kids, so earmuffs.
It's
and
not like I
blindfolds.
can leave them somewhere and go with the wife. for
No,
like
you can buy
10
him
pounds.
tickets, just buy him blindfolds and earmuffs. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Why not? It's like $200 a ticket on the upper levels. It's like,
Take a
yeah,
nap.
fine. All right, my good friend. I really enjoyed this movie.
Of
Again,
course.
I literally didn't have to watch it to prepare. I didn't have to put in notes because everything was like embedded in my
Fair.
head.
Yeah.
Because I love this troupe so much. Um, it we we've saved it to this point. A lot of people credit Monty Python for their start in comedy.
Correct.
Notably, a lot of British comedians, Russell Brand, Steve Coogan. I can't remember the guy's name.
Ricky Gervais.
Ricky Gervais. There's an Indian fellow who's a comedian and a writer who was like, "What are you?" He kind of made his family watch Flying Circus, and then the first show, it's like, "What is this thing we're watching?" And by the third show, he said his mom kind of giggled, and he knew.
No, it's like
He
okay.
knew, and he said it in the documentary. It was just, it transcended color, creed, nation, gender, all of that stuff because it was just silly.
Yeah.
It was just to tell a joke.
Mhm.
Now, he said at one point it was highbrow. I don't remember which one of the comedians said it, but it kind of forced you to learn new things, but do it through the lens of comedy.
Lens of comedy. Yeah.
You didn't know who Wittgenstein was, but you wanted to know because they kind of talked about him and put him in the soccer skit, right? You wanted to learn more about this thing that they've brought because these are people from Cambridge, from Oxford, supposed to be like highbrow comedy, but anybody from all,
Well,
you know,
also on that note too, just everything about the Spanish Inquisition skits when they're talking about Torquemond, they're like, oh, now I have to go. Oh, who was that guy? Okay.
and this is exactly why I mentioned the fact that they went on and did the Arthur Legends research because it was important for them to know the material and then
Subvert
joke
expectations and
joke about the material, parody it, satirize it, and do all that stuff, and just keep that through line of what happened and just go into it, just rail into it, and it just created a classic that you can watch today, and it's still relevant.
Still holds up. Yeah.
Still relevant. I mean, the Black Knight always triumphs. That's just the fact that in the Arthur Legends, he doesn't.
Well, again, a lot of the comedies that we've touched upon before, especially during parody month, a lot of their jokes fall flat now. Especially when we were reviewing Scary Movie.
Yes.
That so many jokes in that film just immediately just fell flat because they were of that time and of that place. They weren't timeless pieces of slapstick comedy that you can laugh at forever. And again, as you said, like that's the reason why Monty Python will always stand the test of time, and that's going to be the through line through this month. And
Yeah.
like, well, I didn't really exactly like that bit, but I can see where they're going for it, and I can see like, yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that comes to the end of this show today. But next week, we continue our Monty Python month with... I'm happy to say that Life of Brian is my favorite of the Monty Python movies.
I know it's your favorite.
It's sort of here and there with Holy Grail. It's my favorite. And not because it's in fucking Jerusalem.
Well,
it's not.
As we head off, I have to say, always look on the bright side of life.
Exactly. So please, if you haven't seen Life of Brian, go watch Life of Brian. In some aspects, it's very funny. Very, very current. Very. And in other aspects, it's just fun. And there's a lot to go through is like around the movie after it came out. It's very interesting.
Yes.
Of the misconceptions about this movie. A lot. So go watch Life of Brian, or refresh yourself, or go watch it for the very first time and come back to us next week and we'll talk about it. With a Scotsman called Sleepy Pilgrim. Yes, that's our guest for next week. Anyway, until then, ladies and gentlemen, have a good one. Oh, before we do that, remember, guys, hope is a good thing, maybe even the best of things, and no good thing ever dies. I'll see you next week.
You're still here? It's over.